What's going on, everybody? I'm Caleb Ochoa, also known as NFL Caleb 22, and this is betting the NFL Super Bowl weekend, and it's the game. This is the game that the most money is bet on. This is the game that everyone wants to make money off of. So we're gonna do it for you. We're gonna help you guys make all the bets that you can get, all the opportunities to make money on this game. And to do that, we have, as always, to help you with that is my co-host Derek Wesley, also known as DWeezy. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Like you said, we finally reached the big one, Super Bowl week. It's all you're gonna hear all week long. It's like no other sport exists, and we're going. It's the last opportunity to find the angles. And like you said, there's a lot of people out there betting on this game. Plenty of people casually betting on a lot of the props that are out there. And that's actually one of the beautiful things about the Super Bowl when it does roll around is the amount of props that you see just simply put out there. Different markets. Um, you know, Short version, if you can think it up, there might be a place offering that bet, and that's a legitimate statement. So you know, even though it's the only game, there is probably more angles, more props available on this game alone than you would find. You'd have to put together probably three, four, five regular season games just to find this amount of props comprised on all at the same time. And we're here to go digging through them to see what angles and value we can find out there.
Absolutely. We're gonna take all the angles and give you. I mean, I picked up a lot of prop bets for y'all. A lot of fun ones that we can go over. We will get to all of them. Um, but before we do that, we got to say what's up to the Rogue Pod. Hendo, what's going on, man? Thanks for joining us. And as always, thanks for joining in, Brandon Bizel. Glad to have you guys here because we're gonna get into this. But before we get into the game, we gotta look back from 2 weeks ago because we haven't gone over what happened in the NFL championship games. We'll go recap those two games for you real quick. Obviously, we'll start off with the what happened in the numbers. Favorites both went over 0-2. Home teams 0-2. Underdogs obviously 2-0, and over and unders were 1-1. And as far as my record, I just went 1-1 against the spread as well. How did you do?
I believe I was one and one as well. No, found myself on the other side of that Kansas City game. As I said in that episode, everything seemed to be pointing the opposite direction, and it's a dangerous game going against Mahomes and the Chiefs, and you get burned. That's simply what happened.
Yeah,
You
that I
know,
mean that was the upset of the week because there were only two games, so that obviously had to be the upset of the week because the Kansas City Chiefs were 4.5 points underdogs, and they do get the win 17-10. And like yeah, we were both on the Ravens side of that one. I mean, I think it was just a surprising outcome. Just seeing how great the Ravens were playing in, and I didn't think they were going to get stopped like that. Uh, and yeah, and like I said it last week. Well, 2 weeks ago. It's just it was a hard. I was very conflicted. I wasn't like gung ho on the Ravens. I said it was hard to bet against Patrick Mahomes in the situation, and he goes out there and that's what he does. Obviously on the other side, Ravens didn't play as well as they had been playing. Lamar didn't have a great game. This, and then Ravens didn't really help out when they didn't run the ball too much, especially not with the running backs. And then they just made a lot of mistakes, made a lot of penalties, and they kind of screwed them in the end. And they only were able to get up 10 points on the Chiefs. And
yeah,
that's the
it
thing.
it
Yeah,
definitely doesn't help when a team goes away from what seems to be their main weapon in attack. Regardless who you're talking about, um, at the point you get a team to stop using their best weapon, I you're already getting the edge in the game. I
And that's
mean,
the thing we were betting on. I mean, that's what we were putting our money on, and hoping we're going to continue to use that. And it just wasn't happening. And then they just decided not to. So definitely threw a wrench into um, the outcome for us. So yeah, it was just a tough loss for all the Ravens bettors and Ravens fans, obviously. Um, if you were on the wrong side of that one, yeah, that one was pretty rough one to watch. But we'll get into the next game, and that is the bad beat of the week, and that is the Detroit Lions were plus 7.5 underdogs at the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers do win it 34, but the Lions did cover the spread, and we both had the Lions so covering that spread. And I felt good about that pick right there. You can take different angles on this one on the bad beat, because I think multiple betters you can say it was a bad beat. As being a pretty huge underdog, if you took the Lions outright, you definitely felt like this was a bad beat because they had a 24-7 lead at halftime. So you were already counting your money with a huge profit you were going to make, and then it just kind of all fell apart in the second half there for you. So you definitely felt bad about that one. But also on the 49ers side, if you had them laying the points, I think you felt good being up 10 points with 3 minutes left. But then ultimately, you had been stopping the Lions the whole entire half. They hadn't scored a touchdown, and then guess what? They get the backdoor cover, and they cover that spread. Um, so I think you go multiple ways on who really got the bad beat in this one.
yeah, there's you know multiple as you said, multiple ways to break this game down from a bad beat perspective. You know, I said it at the time. I was big on the money line. I felt the Lions had a chance to win this game outright. If you could split this game into two separate games, you clearly would have won the first half. Second half, we clearly see the 49ers come back, and a combination of, you know, over aggression by the coaching staff. Definitely a possibility. Uh, Now, one angles that were presented in this game, the favorite being down as much as they were, live betting, I was able to, get the 49ers getting points at, I believe, three or four different instances. Um, you know, Getting 4.5, getting somewhere in the range of 7.5, maybe 9.5, and even at one point getting double digit points with the 49ers on the live spread, just simply because the favorite was down, as for the first half, and down big like they were, especially coming into the game as a 7-point favorite. So, when it came to the live markets, there was definitely some angles that were presented there. I'm not 100% sure how high the 49ers got on the money line, but you could have definitely grabbed the 49ers live plus 300, plus 400, maybe even as high as plus 500. So yeah, there were definitely a lot of live angles that presented in this game, whether it be from someone trying to potentially find a hedging angle. Um, but yeah, if you were a Lions better at the end of this game, there's definitely multiple ways you could be angry how things ended, given the start that we saw by the Lions in what their first. Was that their first ever NFC championship?
Yeah, that was their first NFC Championship game.
Yeah. So
Yeah, so
the way we saw them coming, firing out the gates, and to kind of fizzle out in the second half, that's definitely not the way you wanted things to go. If
or at
you
least
were,
at least since the '90s.
might as well
I don't
say
know.
ever
Yeah,
then.
yeah. Even I don't know if they made it in that one year in the '90s. They might have. So I don't want to give wrong information. They might have. Gotta look at the history. Um, But yeah, but that's that game. But before we get into what y'all came here for, and that is the Super Bowl bets. Um, we like to help you guys out, like we're about to do. If you guys can help us out by subscribing to the channel, hitting the like button, and if you really want to help us out, you can share it as well. Share it with everybody you know. Share it with everybody who likes making money, because obviously, who doesn't like making money? And also, you can join our Patreon, and the link is in the description down below. You can join whichever tier that suits you. If you can do all that, that'd be very much appreciated. We just appreciate you guys here watching us on this channel. So we would appreciate you more if you can do that for us. But now it is Super Bowl betting time, which makes me very excited because in the last two Super Bowls, I have done very well. I've made money on the last two Super Bowls. I pretty much called both two Super Bowls. I said how much they were going to lose by, who was going to win. So I've done very well in the past couple of years since we've done betting the NFL and my Super Bowl predictions. I'm hoping to keep that going and this one, but do you want to start, or do you want me to give mine?
Um, yeah, I can start off with one. A, a little bit of a long shot. A few of these being, more
Well,
a long shot.
we'll get to the props. We'll get to the props. Do
Oh,
you just
okay.
want to? Would you just want to say your winner and your over and under?
Well, yeah. Now, when it comes to the game itself, from the spread or a money line perspective, um, I'm actually, initially pregame. I'm already on the Kansas City Chiefs on the money line plus 110, but
Okay.
I will be looking to take positions on both sides of the money line. If and when that number flips, because I do expect at some point in this game that we see at
Yeah,
least the
I'll
Chiefs.
just give the numbers real quick. The Kansas City Chiefs are 2-point favorites, at least in most sports book. You might get 2.5, you might get 1.5. It might go either way, whichever sports book you might be looking at. But generally, the consensus has been that this is a 2-point game, a 2-point spread. So that's what we're looking at here. I will say what's up to Jose. What's going on, man? Thanks. Just in time for the Super Bowl bets. But yeah, it's a 2-point spread. The over and under is set at 47.5. So yeah, and then yeah, like you said, the money line is at plus 110.
Yeah, so I'm gonna be taking the Chiefs pregame because whether we see them, you know, if they get the ball first, I would lean towards them trying to score on that opening drive. It was something that we heard come out of KC after the Baltimore game that they wanted to put an emphasis on scoring on that opening drive and getting those initial points. And that's that's the type of something that fits with the Andy Reid mindset when it just comes to especially games like this, these big moment games. Um, so especially if we see KC get the ball first, um, whether they go up in a field goal, a touchdown, points in that scenario with the spread as low as it is, you'll definitely see the money line for the 49ers come down pretty much after any score. Maybe not with a field goal, but as I said in this game, I expect both teams to have the lead at some point. And with the spread, with the books putting this as close as it is, with spread being as low as it is, I do expect to be able to find a plus number on both sides, depending on which team is behind at the moment.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. My thoughts. I think that these two teams are entering this game two different paths of getting here. The Chiefs have, you know, gone on the road for the first time in the playoffs. They have, back-to-back wins as an underdog, and they got the upset as a 2.5 point underdog as against the Bills. They were a 4.5 point underdog versus the Ravens. They won both. They got the upsets there. 49ers, on the other hand, were massive favorites against both the um, Against the Packers, they were 10.5 point favorites, and against the Lions, they were 7.5 point favorites, and they narrowly escaped each of those games, winning those. Um, and then we in large parts of those games with the 49ers, Brock Purdy didn't play well. Then they made some key drives to win those games, and a lot of the time the both the Packers and the Lions were moving the ball extremely well up and down the field on them. Their defense hadn't been playing well for either one of those games. So I think they're very, very vulnerable coming into this game. And while I think the Chiefs are just getting stronger and stronger, especially on the defensive side. And that's where I look to. That's where I think it comes down to the Chiefs defense versus Brock Purdy and how many mistakes he's going to make. Because he's made plenty of mistakes in the last two games. He's tried to give the game away. He's thrown interceptions. He's thrown terrible balls that should have been intercepted. And I think the Chiefs defense is that defense that can be opportunistic and has carried them in multiple games this season. As the Chiefs offense hasn't been been struggling somewhere, especially in the receiving core. But the way Brock Purdy has played in the past two games and the way the 49ers defense has played in the past two games and vice versa with the Chiefs. I like how the Chiefs are coming into this game more than how I like the 49ers coming into this game. So I'm going to take the Chiefs +2, and I'm also going to take them on the money line +110. Um, so I like those two bets initially um, for this game. And yeah, and like I've been saying throughout this whole playoff, it's hard to bet against Patrick Mahomes. We found that out last week. We were on the wrong side of that bet, and I'm not gonna be on the wrong side in the Super Bowl for this game. I'm gonna go with the tried and true, and that is Patrick Mahomes winning in the playoffs. So I'm gonna go with that. I think I feel secure. Uh, with my money being on Patrick Mahomes. But also, you guys see, uh, the only thing that makes me weary is that the public, most of the public is on the Kansas City Chiefs. That worries me. The sharp money is on the 49ers. That worries me. Uh, you know, I feel confident that the Chiefs are going to win, but when you see things like that, that makes me want to go maybe double check some things of what the sharp betters are looking at and why they have their money on the Niners.
Well, now, since you mentioned that, something I did hear, I don't know if it was probably earlier this week. Um, but the movement of the line. If I'm not mistaken, this opened around 3, maybe 3.5, or maybe got bet up to 3 or 3.5 in some places. Um, but then we quickly saw it come down, and I think in some places even the spread got as low as -1.5, I believe. And so we've seen that number sort of bounce back a little bit. Um, and honestly, I wouldn't be too terribly shocked. Not to say it was all driven just one way or the other by public versus sharp money out there. But a little bit of two-way action by sharp money. As I mentioned, I'm looking to try and middle this game just by using the money line. Because honestly, like, as I mentioned, all I need is Kansas City Chiefs to get up by one score at some point in the game, and I can lock in a profit jumping in on the other side with the money line for the 49ers, regardless of what it is at that time. As long as it's a plus number, I'm talking about a guaranteed win. It's just a question of how much. So, you know, having a number around 3 where potentially you could get, one team at 3.5, getting, Chiefs plus 3.5, and then that number being drove all the way down to around 1.5, come back in, maybe grab 49ers -1.5. Just another way of positioning of of a player positioning themselves, not necessarily for multiple outcomes, but if you feel this game's going to be won by a touchdown, if you feel like it's going to come down to, whoever has the ball last is going to kick a last second field goal, it's not absurd to believe that, this game will finish, a 2 3 point victory. And, having -1.5 on one side, +3, +3.5 on the other side, though it's not a very large middle to be working with, it's definitely a nice little cushion to have. That game falls in that cushion. You're winning on both sides and probably talking about a nice little chunk of money.
All right, say what's up to my dad. What's going on? Yeah, and as far as I'm gonna take the Chiefs in the first half. They're at plus 105 on the money line in the first half. So I like that. I'm gonna put more money on that. Given how the 49ers defense has allowed both the Lions and the Packers, if you watch both those games the first half, they were going up and down. I mean, you guys saw the Lions go 24-7. And if the Packers had scored touchdowns, it would have looked a lot worse than it did in that first half. Because I saw initially the Packers go up and down the field on the first couple of drives there. Um, and they went down and scored. They only scored field goals, but the Lions scored touchdowns, and I think that's going to happen in this game as well. Because you also saw the Chiefs. I didn't think that the Chiefs were going to go down and score on their first two drives against the Ravens, and that's exactly what happened. They came out right at the gate and put it on the Ravens, and I didn't really see that from the Ravens defense throughout the season. And for the Chiefs to go out and do that, I feel confident that they can go out there and do that against the 49ers, at least as far as what we've seen in the last couple of games here, that they'll go up and get the first half lead, and that's why I like them plus 105 in the first half.
Yeah, this was actually a market that I was already targeting. And to add to what you were saying, you look at those two prior games by Kansas City. They, they did not score in the second half at all against Baltimore. The score they did the majority of their scoring the week prior in the first half. This is a team that, um, but the playoffs are a bit of a different beast than the regular season. It's not always as simple as just looking at what a team has done throughout the regular season. Um, that being said, the Kansas City Chiefs are a very hot first half team. And you give me a scenario, even like last week, where you're talking about potentially giving me 17 points. We see a team total for the Chiefs at 23 and a half. Um, you know, I like both those numbers. So I got a two leg parlay with first half Kansas City Chiefs money line and a over 23 and a half team total points. Any scenario where they put up 2 3 scores in the first quarter, I highly doubt that they're going to go another second half without putting up any points. So being, you know, this isn't a situation where I need them to win the game outright. Don't need them to cover or stay close within a number of points or anything like that. So given how hot this team has been when it comes to the first half, I like that mixed with an over on the team total points because likely the two will be correlated to some degree. Yes, it's possible for KC to win the first half with minimal scoring, 7 points, 3 points, however technical you want to be about it. But the question you have to ask yourself is how likely is that outcome to occur? Is it more likely that we see you know one or two scores on both sides by each team? Yeah, I can. That's easily a number of different ways that can happen. Is it possible one team or the other puts up 17, 20 points, 24 points in the first half? Yes, it's possible. It's football. We've seen crazier things happen. So, having a hot team like this, that team total, I'm not too concerned with 23 and a half, even though we hadn't seen them do much scoring in the second half. But, plus 215 KC money line first half. and over 23.5 points team total.
All right. And for the total for the game, like I said, it is set at 47.5 points. Um, and it can go two ways. If the Chiefs win, I think they will do it by playing good defense. That's the way they've kind of been doing it throughout the playoffs. Um, they, Mahomes playing smart and just kind of grinding it out. That's how they kind of won against the Dolphins. That's how they won against the Ravens. Um, but if the 49ers win, then I see it more of a shootout, utilizing all those weapons that they have and just being able to outscore the Chiefs. So I think in that case, it'd be an over. But since I did pick the Chiefs, I'm going to hit the under on this one, just barely. Um, and we've seen it all season that the under hits a lot this season. So I'm just going to go with that trend. I mean, it's been hitting a lot. We haven't seen a lot of points scored this season, so I don't anticipate to see that many in the Super Bowl. So I like the score 23-24, just barely hitting that under at 47 points.
Yes, the exact market when it comes to scores. There's definitely potential to take advantage of that, similar to way to how you might see somebody position themselves with futures bets when it comes to something like a conference winner or a Super Bowl winner, being able to take multiple positions because you're looking at a plus number with all of those outcomes. Um, so it's definitely a scenario that is highly plausible. You know, I don't think we see a shootout where we see a game, in the 30s by both teams. Do we, see something that threatens borders on, maybe creeping up to that 60? I wouldn't be too shocked if that occurs. Um, but at the same time, as you mentioned, would it fits in line with the under. I wouldn't be surprised if this game finishes somewhere around the 20s. Um, those out there looking at props like how many touchdowns might be in this game. I believe the number I saw was 5.5. And I'd be a little worried playing a number like that because at a certain point, I don't think we're going to see enough touchdowns to cover that number. And, if we're talking about a scenario where you only got 20 to 24 points, you got at least two touchdowns. And so if both sides got at least two touchdowns, yes, that would come right under that number of 5.5. Or so as far as trying to take an over, you definitely need a higher scoring game with a prop like that. And I don't think we see enough scoring to, reach the over with some of those props. So something like, if we're just talking about a single prop by itself over, if the number's 4.5, it's a little skinnier, if you're talking about only four touchdowns being scored. But under 4.5 total touchdowns in the game, under 5.5 total touchdowns in the game, depending on where that number might be. Because yeah, I don't. An over is possible, but I definitely lean more towards a game that finishes under. Maybe I think it'll be close. It'll definitely be a sweat. Those out there betting the under on the game total are going to find out what a good sweat is if this game does come in and cash for you.
All right. Before we get into the more crazier prop bets, I got one more initial bet, and that is Super Bowl MVP. I mean, obviously, I'm picking the Chiefs, and I don't think there really can be another MVP unless it's Patrick Mahomes. If the Chiefs win it, um, so I like him to at plus 120. He is the favorite to win it. Might be the boring pick. It might be the safe pick, but I just don't see how it can go any other way if the Chiefs win. I don't really see who else can win it because if Kelsey goes out there and has a good game, it's because Patrick Mahomes threw him the ball a bunch and he's gonna have good numbers on his side. Unless he just has a terrible game and they run it a bunch and Pacheco somehow gets it. I could see that. maybe Christians as a monster game, but barring that, I'm picking the Chiefs. So there's no one else going to win it than Patrick Mahomes at plus 120. So I think that's just the smartest bet to make. I'll give you the top five odds for Super Bowl MVP. Patrick Mahomes at 120. Number two is Brock Purdy at plus 220. Christian McCaffrey is plus 400. Travis Kelsey at plus 800. Debo Samuel plus 1600. If I was gonna go with the Niners, and if the Niners do end up winning, I definitely like Christian McCaffrey at plus 400. I think he should be over Brock Purdy. In fact, to win Super Bowl MVP on the 49ers side. But that's just me. Who is your Super Bowl MVP? Who you putting your money on?
You know, like you said, it may sound like the boring pick, but unfortunately, when it comes to the Super Bowl MVP, it's one of these things that's gotten a little more sports political than necessarily who should win it. Um, as you said, if the 49ers win this game, I would definitely feel more comfortable uh, putting money on Christian McCaffrey to win the MVP. Um, yeah, just handicapping those scenarios, it's more likely that McCaffrey has a strong game. But this being the Super Bowl, you also have to deal with those instances where potentially somebody having an iconic play or, you know, being, that turn of the tide in, a second half, where, yeah, they only had four receptions for about 50 yards and a TD, but all that came in the second half, and that TD was the game winning TD. Um, so you definitely get into I don't know, some scenarios where MVP doesn't necessarily go to the person it's supposed to. In a lot of years, we've seen this become a quarterback award for whoever the winning side was. Um, so it sounds like the boring pick, but there's unlikely a scenario where if Kansas City wins, it's not going to Mahomes. And on the flip side of that, you know, unless we see a single player on a 49ers go off for a massive game like a McCaffrey, a Kittle, Debo. I think there are, outside of that, regardless of, what the long odds are, I think, a hope and a prayer because while I may like Jawan Jennings to go out for certain props at the numbers I'm seeing, I'm not going to play him to win the MVP because he would literally have to go out there and have like 150 yards and two TDs for to even be possible for him to be MVP. And still, they might give it to Brock Purdy because it's Jawan Jennings on the other side. So,
Yeah.
um, you know, yes, it may sound like the boring pick, like you said, but it, if the Chiefs win this game, it's going to Mahomes. If we see a boring win out of the 49ers, yes, Brock Purdy could be a very live option. Not to say that he can't go out there and put up a, performance worthy of winning the MVP. I just, at those odds, I wouldn't feel comfortable taking Purdy lower odds than McCaffrey.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd rather, take a little bit of a long shot with McCaffrey at those numbers.
All right, that's our initial bets. Now we can get a little more fun prop bets, and before we get into the game, we'll get into before what's going to happen before the game. We'll start with the opening coin toss. Who's going to win it? Who's going to win the coin toss? Both at minus 103. You can bet that. Opening coin toss outcome heads and tails are both at minus 103, and the toss called correctly is at minus 103. You got any? Do you ever bet on the coin toss or not?
Yeah, there's been a few years where I did, definitely put something on the coin toss just because. I mean, every sports better out here, that if you like playing props, I think you deserve it all to the coin flip because that's basically how it started. I mean, people might have known what the spread was, might have known what a game total was back in 60s, 70s, and so on. But if you didn't live in an area that had, a Vegas area, a New Jersey area, whether it was legal or not, but some level of exposure to gambling, you didn't know what props were. Everybody knew what the coin flip was. You could bet on the coin flip. And so that's really and I think that, that's one of the many reasons why when we get to the Super Bowl, we see all these props that we do, because books realized, hey, they'll let us put up the coin flip. We can take bets on the coin flip. People are going to bet the coin flip. I saw one ridiculous post on Twitter, I believe it was, somebody complaining about more or less why, like, I believe it was the number for tails not moving. I guess it was some trend or something. It's hit X amount of times out of
Yeah, but that
years.
doesn't mean anything. It's always a different.
Exactly,
It's a
exactly,
different probability every. I mean, it's the same
it,
probability, but different time. Every different
exactly. It
coin
just it.
toss is the same probability. You're not. It doesn't
Mhm.
matter if it's the same. He missed statistics class, obviously.
Right, yeah. It proved his ignorance, and that's the beauty of something like this. The coin flip. Even the books recognize the fact that they can't juice this one way or the other. It doesn't matter if you find the coin flip, a number for a coin flip. It's going to be the same on both sides.
It's the same odds every flip.
Yeah,
Just flip a coin.
the book is just praying that they can get an even amount on both sides so they can make some sort of money off of it. But even the book isn't worried about the coin flip from a money perspective, because while the numbers don't work out great for them, regardless of how it's bet, how much they may end up paying and or making, uh, they got plenty of other stuff for that.
Yeah.
But
All right. Yeah.
coin flip is most definitely probably the most iconic Super Bowl prop ever.
Yeah. Another pre-game prop bet that people like to bet on is the national anthem. And this year we have Reba McEntire as singing the national anthem. The projection is at 90.5 seconds, and that is the over and under. The over is at plus 102, and the under is at minus 128. So the favorite is to go under, and we've seen the under hit on the national anthem. I will just say what's up to Davon, what's going on, and he says I always love the prop bets. We do too. I mean, I love
Yeah.
it's just more and more opportunities to make money. I love these prop bets. Um, yeah, you had some.
Oh well, yeah, last year I told him if the man came out there with a guitar, hope you got the over.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah. So yeah, and I was gonna say the country singers in the past have actually gone over that 90 and a half at 112.5 seconds. The average country singers do. And Reba McEntire is a legendary country singer, but she has done the national anthem before. She did it in like the late '90s at the World Series, and she sung the national anthem at 83 seconds. So she was actually pretty quick when she did it her first time. So, what do you say? What do you say? Over under? I'm gonna go under just because I just seen it go under a whole lot in the past few Super Bowls. So I feel say that is the favorite to win. I just she sings it pretty quick. She's gotten older, so I don't know how long she can keep those notes going for forever. So I'm gonna say the under. But what do you have?
honestly, I would lean to the over.
Uh,
It being a country singer, it being more so it being Reba McEntire. I do expect some embellishments. Some artistic play with the song. Uh, while hearing the numbers on the previous national anthem she did, uh Didn't you say it was at a baseball game? What was the
Yeah, it was
setting?
at the World Series.
Okay, yeah, I don't know. I get the feeling that in that instance, maybe there's less embellishment, more straightforwardness. Um, you know, I gotta lean, I gotta go with the over. Uh, you know, being old enough to recall, Reba in some of her heyday and just her level of grandeur that, you know, she's not over the top. But yeah, she has no problem putting on a show for people, showing up a little bit. Um, so I gotta lean to the over. And
All
yes, if
right.
she comes out there with a guitar, it's over. It's over. Country star guitar, it's over. I'm sticking to that forever.
All right. We'll get the first score of the game. The favorites are Kansas City Chiefs passing touchdown plus 300, Kansas City field goal plus 300, and San Francisco 49ers field goal plus 300. You got San Francisco 49ers passing touchdown plus 400, San Francisco rushing touchdown plus 500, and Kansas City Chiefs rushing touchdown plus 550. What do you think the first score will be?
If we're talking about KC with the ball, I think you just have to lean to a passing touchdown.
That's what I think too. I'm on Kansas City passing touchdown. Be
Yeah.
the first score of the game.
Um, while I do think Isaiah Pachenko is in line to have a strong, if not, I wouldn't expect necessarily him to necessarily go for 100 yards or something of that nature, but I would not be shocked to see him go out there and put something up in the 50 to 75 yard range. I do expect him to have a good day, depending on what his workload is. Um, but I just don't see KC moving the ball downfield the way they do, and then I don't. While they won't be abandoning the run game, KC does seem to lean more on their passing game when it comes to red zone instances. And in a scenario, first score of the game, like I mentioned earlier, if they have that mindset that they want to punch the ball in the end zone, they're not, you know, they'll take a dink and dunk style play if that's what's presented, but they're going to be looking for that punch to the end zone. And so, can things, can the plays and scenario align to where they end up in a short yardage instance? Um, Most definitely. If we're talking about ending up on the 1 yard line or whatever, within the 5 yard line, a rushing TD is most definitely on the table. But I do feel that if we're talking about first score of the game, KC with the ball, it very live for it to be that passing touchdown.
I
On the
agree.
flip side, I was just gonna say on the flip side of that with San Francisco, it's a little bit different, because yeah, you might see Debo have a rushing touchdown early on, depending on what the play call is in alignment. Uh, So it's more how are you going to handicap that scenario? Who do you think they lean on if they do get down near the end zone, or this is the KC defense going to punch them in the mouth, bend not break, and force a field goal out of them?
All right. Will there be a well, how many turnovers in the game? Is the number set at 2.5? Um, Over is at minus 118. Under is at minus 105. I'm gonna take the over on the turnovers. I've seen Brock Purdy not play very well in these last couple games, throwing some picks there. So I feel like he's gonna throw a couple picks and maybe someone fumbles or maybe Mahomes throws a pick on the other side to hit that over and put it at 3.
Yeah, I definitely got to run with the over on this one. As you said, Purdy can clear this number by himself. Do I expect him to throw 3 interceptions? Not necessarily, but I definitely would pencil him down for at least one interception right now. So if we're talking about something where get one, maybe two interceptions out of him, maybe one out of Mahomes. You know, a fumble is always a very live possibility. Um, and not to be funny, because something, you'll hear a lot of talk around the Super Bowl, because one of those bets out there, will there be a safety? Of course, the yes has a
Yeah.
huge plus
Yes
number
is
on
at
it.
plus 700. No is at minus 1205.
Exactly. Well, I'd be interested to see, if I'm
Oh,
not
that was over.
mistaken.
Hold on, that was the wrong numbers. Safety was at plus 650. No was at minus 109, 1099.
Yeah, well, a
So
bad snap like, what we saw in the Super Bowl with Peyton Manning, snap goes over his head. If I'm not mistaken, that officially goes down as a fumble recovered by, whoever recovered the ball. Yeah, yeah. So even a scenario with a bad snap or something to that effect, it it can be easier to pick up a cheap turnover in this game. So with the number only being at 2.5, like I said, the possibility for one quarterback to throw, I would not be shocked if he threw two. I wouldn't necessarily bet Purdy to throw two interceptions, but you're talking about a situation where you got an interception already, a fumble out there. You just pray the next fumble isn't recovered by the offense and you get that turnover. Or,
uh,
that, or well, I guess, is that, um the bet, does it read specifically turnover?
yeah, it just says turnovers and has specifically
Oh,
interceptions
that
or
that
fumbles.
you
It
wanna
says
talk about a
turnovers.
bad beat, that would be a bad beat. You get the fumble, but the offense recovers it, so it wouldn't be a turnover. But at the same time, I'd be interested to know, the position on a turnover on downs, with some books. Uh,
Yeah.
a a perfect example of, folks out there, it never hurts to check, what the house rules are, uh, whether, especially at times like this where, you might see markets put up that aren't traditionally up all the time, and it never hurts to ask a question, because turnovers on down, at least in this moment, that could be, an interesting factor into a prop like this, where you have the over, you've seen a game where two interceptions are thrown, team, goes 4 and out, turnover on downs, uh, how that might be listed by the book. Um, because I don't know, it's not technically classified as a turnover, but some books may, or may, accept that as a turnover. So though it's not an official NFL turnover, it may still potentially cash the bet. So, just a reminder, never hurts to know those house rules. Because there's been a number of instances, even over this past season, where we've seen a lot of people out there upset over bets that weren't honored. Uh, where basically the house rule, they valued the house rules already in place, and the people just
Mm.
didn't know what those house rules were, and were more or less upset that they were discovering it after the fact. So, never hurts to know what those rules are when it comes to some of these more exotic and unusual props and bets out there.
Yeah. The one that was plus 700 and 1205 was overtime. Plus 700, yes, no is 1200, 1205. Um, I would just not. Maybe you can throw a few bucks, but I don't think it's gonna go into overtime. So I wouldn't make a bet on that one.
Yeah, that's one of those bets where it's it, it's a difficult situation to try and handicap a game going into
That is
OT.
true. 1777 memorabilia. The CBS said there is going to be. They did see. I did see that they did. They said that the game is going to double overtime. They would like it to because that means more more viewers stay on that channel. I don't think that's going to happen, but yeah, I did see that.
Yeah, I mean, you want to talk about odds? We've seen, what, 56 Super Bowls so far, because this is 57. only one has reached overtime. So, double OT.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The only like
I'm
only one's been in
not.
overtime, so the odds are just not in favor of it going to overtime. That's why I gotta stay away from putting any money on
And
stuff like
see, th- and like with this bet, if it goes to overtime, I think, for a lot of football bettors, I don't know how commonly this is, available in football markets. It's something you definitely see a lot more often. In the baseball markets, will a game go to extra innings? And of course, if we're talking about a pregame scenario, the yes is always some massive
yeah.
plus number. But
There's plenty of prop bets that you can make on this game that I just if it doesn't make sense, then there's plenty of more opportunities where you can throw a couple bucks down and give it a shot.
exactly, uh, you know, the, what I love about this time of year is, the level of exposure you get from the book, because there's no way for there it's impossible for them to have a or just a rock solid number on every prop and market out there.
And that's why you can
And
definitely take advantage.
exactly.
Right. We'll get to a fun one everybody likes to do. And that's the Gatorade bath. Purple was last year's color, and that is the favorite this year at plus 275. Blue is at plus 375. Yellow slash green is at plus 375. Orange is at plus 325. Red is plus 400. Clear or water is at plus 1100, and none is at plus 2000. And orange is the most times at five. Blue is four times. Clear water is has been at four. Yellow, green has been at three, and purple's only been done three times, and none has been done four times. So purple's a favorite because it was the Chiefs last year. You think they would just stick to the same Gatorade that they like to go with. Um, so I might as well. I mean, it's a plus number, so hell, if they did last year, why wouldn't that? They obviously they like that color Gatorade.
That's a possibility. It this is the type of thing where you get more conspiracy theory like with the handicap, and then actual factual evidence, or information. So, you know if you feel comfortable putting a couple dollars down one way or the other, you're getting a plus number. That's the true benefit of this market, is you at least getting a nice plus number. uh might be able to take a few different positions on it. But as far as me, I won't be playing the Gatorade bath. As I say, you get into this conspiracy theory. You know, you might have somebody, you know, on the scenes trying to ensure a certain color because of the numbers, or but again, another one of those props where you got to love it when it comes to this time of year, whether you bet it or not. Just the fact that people are out there legitimately interested in what the color of the Gatorade bath was, or if there was one, because they got money down on it.
Remember Billy has it at what he's going with red at plus 400. I don't really think you can go wrong. I mean, it could be any of these. How the hell do we know?
Exactly.
So, all right, we'll get to some more fun, and that is the halftime show. Uh, yeah, we'll start with the first thing, and how many songs will be played during halftime? And the over and under is set at 8.5. Over is at minus 130, and the under is at minus 110. On this type of bet, I like to go with the over on that one. You have any leaning on how many songs might be played?
I would say the same, that you have to lean to the over. But I don't mean this in a negative way, but this is sort of another artist that we see this year where
No,
their
Usher
career.
is the artist, by the way. Usher is
Yeah,
playing the halftime.
the
If you did not
career,
know,
not necessarily the most current career. I won't call him
that's true.
retired because the music industry, you may not necessarily be doing stuff in the foreground. You may not necessarily be making albums directly, but you can easily be involved with a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes, a lot of stuff on the creation level. So I won't say his career isn't going on, but we hadn't seen. It's another artist that we see that's not actively producing music. So I definitely think you're gonna get more of that montage style where you see
Yeah, where he just kind
more
of goes
songs
song, yeah,
mixed
song.
in. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I would with something like this, I would lean to the over. Um, just simply because I think they're gonna try and mix in more
Yeah, where
versus
it's even
less,
just like one verse of one song. I don't know if that would count.
possibly. So
Um, but yeah, first song that he comes out with, "My Way" is at +100, "OMG" is at +150, "Yeah" is at +700, "Love in This Club" is at +700. I think he just comes out with "Yeah." I mean, +700. I didn't even know that "My Way." I don't know if he would start with that. I think "Yeah." I mean, everybody loves "Yeah." Why would he not come out straight out the gate with "Yeah" +7? I mean, I like that. I
because
like that
I
bet.
mean, you can get into easily a number of different things because just stylistically, maybe how they want to choreograph and build the show. Um, the one reason I would lean, I could definitely see, yeah, being at that number. Um, it wasn't. He had been out making music for at least on the mainstream level, probably close to a decade at that point. So there was I won't say he did a lot of music, but there was definitely a good amount of music that he did before that song. So while to a lot of people and definitely younger fans, uh, that was their introduction to Usher. Was yeah in that time frame. Uh, so definitely it could be a possibility, but at the same time, there again we have no freaking clue because there's no telling how they might go with this. Um, what songs first? Who the hell knows?
Yeah. This one, odds to make an appearance. Obviously, they always have special appearances by other artists that they have that every at least in recent memory. Um, and the odds are Alicia Keys at -325. She's the favorite. Ludacris at -210. Little John at +105. Diddy at +240. Nicki Minaj at +300. Marshmello at +325. Pitbull at +425. And Lil Wayne at +550. I like the Little John at +105. That's a plus number. Obviously, he's part of Yeah. So I mean, why would he not make a special appearance there? Um, I like that. I think that's the best bet to go with.
Yeah, some of those names, I'd have to look into the connection between the two. Was it a feature on a song? Maybe more work together. Kind of like I mentioned before, working with somebody behind the scenes. You might have not necessarily had your name on an album or help directly write or make a song, but having your fingerprints on something, and now you're doing a halftime show, and I want this person to swing through. Just a number of different ways you could definitely take this. And then who knows? You get an instance like last year where, if I'm not mistaken, there wasn't a single guest appearance.
Yeah, I don't think there was.
Yeah, and you
At
know,
least I don't remember. It might have been, but I don't remember.
and I don't remember off the top of my head, but for some reason, I thought I recalled. With the whole news, we find out after the fact. Basically, Rihanna did the show, pregnant, and
Well, she showed it. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. It wouldn't shock me that if at some point she made the determination that she didn't want to have any guests,
Yeah,
not
that makes sense.
not blatantly throwing it in people's faces, but at the same time, sort of, subtly, all right, this is my halftime show. This is my moment. It's about me. And so I don't think, anybody could have predicted that beforehand. And, so there's no telling what we see happen with the halftime show.
All right. I just thought that was fun. Will there be a wardrobe malfunction? Yes, is that plus 1,000, and no is that minus 5,000. I just thought that was fun, given the malfunction happened with Justin Timberlake and
Man, if you got the money, yes, you go drop it on the no, because I can promise you ain't never getting another malfunction. That might be why the NFL makes the artists pay to do the show. Like, don't get it twisted, folks. All y'all out there, they being like, oh, they get all this exposure and this, that, and the third. Yeah, and they paying a couple. I'm not sure if it's $1 million price tag, but it is a hefty price tag that they are paying out of pocket. And I'm not even sure that covers all the cost in making the show happen. So, yeah.
all right. So for these next ones, I don't even know how why these are out there or how these are out there, but these are out there. And these are Taylor Swift prop
Oh,
bets.
Jesus. Oh, Jesus. Jesus. Jesus.
uh, I don't know who's betting on this. You're a real goddamn degenerate if you're betting on
I'm
these.
telling you, yeah, they're going after that
But
Swifty money. No, that's exactly, no, honestly, that's exactly what that is. That is shame on them. That is books trying to, if you see a book taking action on Swifty bets, that's them trying to take advantage of people that potentially have no idea really what or why they're betting on it. They just seeing Taylor Swift's name because I already see the direction this is going,
yeah, okay,
and
I'll
it,
give you to him
yeah,
right now. Will Travis Kelsey propose after the game? Yes, is that plus 1060? No, is that minus 3,000? Um, will she be seen crying if they lose? Yes, is that plus 600? Uh, and then how many times will she be shown on camera during the CBS telecast? Over or under is at 5.5 times. Over as minus 140, and under is at is even money there. That's actually a pretty good bet. I actually might put money on that one. Um, and then it says, will she be mouthing a curse word? Yes, is at plus 300. And then they even have what color lipstick will she be wearing? Red is at minus 1,800, and any other color is at plus 700. So those
that
are
was it. That's at least of the ones you listed. That was the most reasonable one as far as from trying to bet, because every other one, there's essentially you got to have some level of conspiracy theory behind it. But yeah, that see, that's the less degenerate bet of the group. Like, because you could do that bet with anybody. You just have to know that they're going to be there and that they're going to show up. So, but the how many times will they cut away to her? You know, all just the proposing on the field, that's what gets me, because man, if he did, like, see, yeah, Travis Kelsey is an NFL player. He may, one of the, I don't know exactly where he falls on the scale of highest paid, players. Um, but definitely not hurting for a paycheck. He ain't making Taylor Swift money, man. If he
yeah.
proposed on the field, all that I pray is that people come after him as the money chaser that he is, because you want to talk about things moving fast. This is either the oh, I'm drawing a blank on a name, but this is a Hollywood marriage. This is basically political front running. Whether on a show I watch, Bostonian versus the Book. I've heard them mention that, you know, for the past couple of years, Travis Kelsey has basically been positioning himself to become a movie star actor, to be the next Rock. Um, so that would fall in line with sort of this conspiracy theory narrative. Oh, I married Taylor Swift. I proposed after winning the Super Bowl on the field. Like, I just pray that I will be so happy to lose KC money line as long if they was if it was to get leaked that he was actually going to do that if they won. I would go bet the other side so hard. I don't care how much money I lose because pray don't have to see or deal with that. But yes, this is the books trying to get that Swifty money because they know it's out there. They see the revenue sales. They see the ticket sales, even when prices are ungodly numbers. You, if there's an entity out there that the sports books might be jealous of in a whole, I promise you it's somebody like Taylor Swift because they wish they could draw in that level of handle. So yes, the books if they got a Taylor bet up, they want that Swifty money. So you know, don't tell the Swifties.
Um, that's all I got. If you have any other props, you can go ahead and tell the peoples.
Yeah, nothing too wild and exotic. Now one I did like, I do like just because I mean the odds. If you're gonna take a couple long shots, um, will there a successful onside kick recovery? You know, plus what is it? Plus 1,500. You know, 15 to 1 on your money. Definitely a nice return if we happen to see it happen. Doesn't necessarily have to impact the actual game script as far as what's going on. You don't need that miracle comeback. Uh, it wouldn't be the first time that we've seen an onside kick, a surprise onside kick in a big game like this. So definitely, more on the having fun side of the game, but definitely one where you getting a plus number like that, even a small amount of money on that bet, have a nice little return. Um, I did get involved with some of the anytime touchdown props. Like I said, a couple of more so the long shots. Now I did parlay together Christian McCaffrey and Travis Kelsey to each get one touchdown. Uh, where you by themselves, you're seeing both players with a very a minus number. Kelsey around -110, I believe it was. McCaffrey an insane minus number for anytime touchdowns at -330, which is just ridiculous. Anybody that's played these markets throughout the regular season, you might have a player or two that has a minus number to score at least one touchdown in a game. McCaffrey was one of those guys. But even then, you did not see this number at, -250, -300 like we do now. Um, you might have saw it in the -140, -170 range. Um, but I do, that parlay, I believe, uh, returned some close to 2 to 1, uh, about plus 200. Um, I do like Marquez Valdez Scantling to potentially get a touchdown in this game. Sort of in line with what we were talking about earlier and the potential of a first TD scored. I don't see this team being one that just drives the ball downfield methodically. While they use the run game, it's not like what we've seen out of other teams that we would say traditionally have a run game where they're going to go where they're looking to run the ball, at least one, two, if not three times, on those downs, trying to pick up a first down. Uh, so with a nice plus number on MVS, he's definitely one that you can target. Um, because I do like the approach of maybe getting away from Kelsey being just that main target, especially if you're talking about a red zone situation. Um, Once you get away from Pacheco, Rice, Kelsey, you're talking about pretty nice large plus number with any of the people on the board at that point. Um, him compared to some of the other names you might see, at least from the wide receiver's perspective, I definitely like the potential for him to land a potential touchdown. Um, Staying away from Edwards, Hilaire, the other wide receivers. I think McCall Hardman is just he's a name people will recognize, and I think that's the only reason people would bet him. Anybody that says they had him for a touchdown, you better show the ticket, because ain't nobody out here pushing for McCall Hardman to score anytime touchdown. Uh, so yeah, and then like I said, didn't get too crazy, but there are a lot of different markets out here that are, potentially you can take advantage on. A lot of these players, you see numbers for longest reception, longest actual rushing attempt. Um, I'm on, Christian McCaffrey over 14 and a half yards, longest reception. Um, this is a number he's cleared multiple times throughout the season. He's the type of player, and he's shown it on many occasions. Any chance, if it's a pass play, if it's a reception, the ball touches his hands, he's got a chance to go for 20, 40 yards. So having that number at, sub 15, he's a threat to get 15 yards anytime he touches the ball. So, you minus 115, not, I won't say it doesn't have value, but not the it where you can take advantage of the fact that they're simply putting up that market available. Um, and so yeah, McCaffrey over 15 or 14 and a half yards, longest reception. Um, I'm on a few other things
All right.
for this
Go ahead.
Super Bowl, but I'm not going to dive into every last
I
one.
mean, there's a lot. There's a lot.
Yeah, I mean
You
you
can
can
bet on every player, on on each team, every which way. There's so many out there, so many books, so many different numbers. Um, you can bet this game. Like I said, it's the most bet game of the year. So much money, especially when you're in Vegas. There'll be a lot of people here, a lot of people spending their money. Um, yeah, so it'd be big bet game, especially this year it being in Vegas. So, um, if you ain't got anything else, I think that'll be the show. Um, yeah, I just want to thank everybody for really joining us throughout this season. It's been a great betting season. Obviously, we'll be back next season, trying to make you guys money because that's what we do on this channel. No matter whether you go with me, whether you go with DWeezy, it doesn't matter as long as you're making money. That is the goal of the show, and we appreciate you for showing up and trusting whether you take our opinions or not. Really appreciate you. Appreciate having you. And then yeah, appreciate you, DWeezy, for coming every week with the knowledge and the opinions and putting your money on the line because we are putting our real money on the line making these bets.
exactly. Regardless of how much you're putting on it, you got to have some skin in the game, and we won't ever claim to be perfect, claim to always be right, but we will claim the ones that we get right. So, yes, it's been another great season. Always seems to go by faster than it actually is. Uh, NFL season never actually stops. A 365-day business. Of course, we're gonna be back sooner than you might think, because you know got to kick things back off with diving into season to
Futures.
yeah,
Yeah, we have to get our futures bets in.
exactly. And I'd have to go back and double check everyone, but I mean, we would lock on. We were just locked on for a number of the futures takes that we had when it came to some of these divisions, and so I definitely look forward to that. That aspect of the season rolling back around.
All right. Well, then you can tell everybody where they can find you, Do Easy.
Yes, y'all can reach me on YouTube at Backyard Action Media and on Twitter at The Yard Bets.
And you can find me on X/Twitter at NFLK22. You can find me on Instagram as well. So follow me there. You can find me on this channel talking Cowboys and talking Giants on Good Friends, Better Rivals with my co-host Ferris Muthana. We do that Fridays at 3 o'clock Pacific time. So go and check us out there if you're a fan of the NFC East or you're just a fan of us because we like to argue and talk shit to each other. So that's always fun. So go watch us there and just hit the notifications button because we have tons of sports talk on this channel. We go live a lot. We talk more than just football. We talk about all different types of sports on this channel. So if you like all types of sports, definitely hit that notifications button so you can get alerted when we go live for those shows. But good luck to everybody. Get your bets in when you can. And like I always say, let's get ready to make that money.